We're back with Judge Jason Greenlee, and we're talking to him about his, basically his biography, where you grew up and things like
Sure.
that. Okay, so you were in Minnesota, you got your
Sure.
JD there, and then you came back to Albuquerque. Was that right after that? Or
Yes, and so
but you never practiced law in Minnesota,
I never
correct?
practiced law in Minnesota. I had, by about the second year of law school, I had known that I had wanted to come back to Albuquerque. I missed it, and I had wanted to return. Now I met my now wife in law school, and she was a native Minnesotan, and she's moved back with me. But her family still lives in the Twin Cities, and so I still would get back to Minneapolis,
How does
St.
she
Paul,
like it?
Minnesota. It is
Different.
it's grown on her. I will tell her. I mean, the first couple of years, mainly around the winter time, she missed the snow. But I think she is, at this point, we've lived out here almost 9 years.
So she likes the
And
desert,
so this
because
is,
it's desert.
yes,
environment
it's
for
growing
us,
to be,
yeah.
it's going to feel more and more like home for her. But yeah, so I returned from right after law school, and I took a job for about a year doing, practicing various kinds of civil law. And I just...
You never practiced in
Never,
Minnesota,
never
right?
in Minnesota.
So how does that work when you got your Juris Doctor, that you actually had to apply for bar exam here again? Do you have to go through the bar exam?
Right. So I never, because I knew I didn't want to practice in Minnesota, I never even took the Minnesota bar exam. The only bar, in my third year of law school in Minnesota, I applied to take and signed up to take the New Mexico bar exam.
Okay.
Then I moved back after law school, and I studied for the New Mexico bar with mainly University of there's a bar prep course that lasts several months, and I went and took that course mainly with graduates from the University of New Mexico Law School. And
so how does that work? If you had you done your bar exam there, how does that transfer here?
It
transfer.
it wouldn't have. It varies from state to state. States can choose what states they want to have reciprocity with in terms of bar exams. New Mexico does not have reciprocity with Minnesota, and so as a brand new lawyer, I would have had to take a second bar exam. Yeah. And so I came out, took the New Mexico bar, passed it, and that was
difficult test, right?
Well, it's stressful. It's stressful on people.
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes people go through it second time, third time. I have
sure,
friends go through it 3 times.
Sure, I think that a lot of, I think the hardest thing about the bar exam, in my experience, is some people just have a lot of anxiety around exams, and I think they psych themselves out and they underperform.
Sometimes the peers, I think, kind of build you up to it. They create that anxiety. Oh, this is a very difficult test.
Sure.
And then you see other people sometimes not making it the first time around. So you always have that impression that, oh, this is a difficult test and stuff. So it is a difficult test. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's something that you could pass that easily. But I've had friends that went through it twice, third time. So you passed it the first time.
Yep. And right. And then I started practicing, and I practiced civil law for about a year here in Albuquerque, and I just didn't love it, and so I was looking for a change, and I applied and got hired at the district attorney's office here in Bernalillo County. And as a brand new prosecutor, I started right in Metro Court, doing cases in Metro Court. I think that I would say that 90% of the people that start at the district attorney's office here in Bernalillo County get their start in Metro Court, being a prosecutor in Metro Court. And so I did that for about a year, and then I went into doing appellate work associated with the Metro Court, and did that.
I was going to ask you,
years.
how does that work as far as Metro? Because I'm not familiar with appellate as far as Metro. I know the appellate court, how it works.
All right, and so it's sort of a unique situation. It's the only Metro Court. So appeals of DWI or domestic violence convictions in Metro Court are appealed directly to the district court in Albuquerque.
Okay.
And it's a unique situation. It's the only time that happens
So they're not going to actual appellate court; they're going to district court.
Well, they go to district court first. You could eventually, if you didn't like the answer you got from the district court, you could eventually appeal to the Court of Appeals.
Okay.
But the first appellate court for Metro Court is the district court judges.
I see.
And so I would.
So a lot of these were DWI cases.
I would say right, and so I would say 90% of my appellate work was defending DWI convictions.
Okay.
There were people appealing their convictions for DWI for various reasons, and I would represent the state saying, no, in fact, they got a fair trial and were properly convicted of DWI.
So what happens if it goes to district court, and if it gets either turned down, they accept it, or what is the process thereafter as far as it going to district court? So someone went to district court, and what does a district court judge have to say if it was denied?
Okay, so after a district court judge reviews the appeals, they can either say the defendant's right, they win, and the case can be dismissed, and they can say, in fact, this conviction was improper, or what they can say is, no, this conviction is fine, and so they order it to go back to the Metropolitan Court for that Metropolitan Court judge to then enforce whatever the sentence was.
I see.
And so it's a.
So would you see anyone going past that, going to the Court of Appeals? Or?
Okay, so when in my Metro Court spot, there were people that appealed their convictions from district court to the Court of Appeals, but though in New Mexico, all of those appeals are handled by attorneys that work at the Attorney General's office. And so I would write the initial response to an appeal from Metro to district, but if it went higher than that, the Attorney General's office took it over, and they handled the appeals from there.
Okay, so I learned a little bit about that. I wasn't quite sure how that worked and stuff. There was something that I saw when I was looking at your biography there. You also worked in these mock trial things, and did you want to talk about that?
Oh, sure.
That way the viewers understand exactly what that is and stuff. I have a general idea. I'm going to let you explain some of it.
Okay, so I've had the New Mexico Center for Civic Values is a organization that does a lot of good in terms of civic education for high school students. And one of the mechanisms they use to promote civic education is they host and put on the state mock trial competition for high schools.
So you have an actual trial.
Right.
It's mock, but then it's actual trial.
Right, and so what will happen is these high school kids will get a made-up case that has a lot of case materials associated with it, and they'll study and prepare, and they have to put on that case. They have people that they prepare to be witnesses, they have people that they prepare to be lawyers, and they compete against another school. And then various lawyers agree to be scoring judges, and then actual judges in the community preside as judges over the competition. And so when I was an attorney, I would serve as a scoring judge, and now that I've taken the bench, I've done for the last few years, I've been a judge at both regionals and the state.
So they actually have a
competitions.
regional and nationwide competition?
Right, and so just right now, I believe it is a wonderful group of kids at Volcano Vista won the state championship, the New Mexico State Championship, about a month and a half ago, and so they'll be traveling to, I forget where the national competition is, but they're traveling to a national competition to represent the state of New Mexico. And prior to that, actually, Albuquerque Academy is a two-time national mock trial team. They went the last 2 years. They won the New Mexico State Championship and then won the whole thing back to back, which is extremely rare.
So that you like that whole process. What is exactly? We have maybe a minute left. Tell us briefly exactly how they decide who wins.
Okay, and so it's the way that what you're really scoring the students on is their preparation and sort of mastery of the material. It's not so much who you think ultimately won the case, it's which team shows that they really understand all the facts and rules surrounding how to put on their case. And frankly, at the highest levels, it's very hard because you see two teams of extremely skilled and bright students, and it's a hard.
So these are eventually law school students, then, right?
Many of them, mock trial is a way into eventual interest into.
Let me take a short break.
Sure, of
I'll
course.
come back and then we'll talk a little bit more. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with Judge Jason Greenlee.